Precious people and wonderful people, I greet you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I'm here again, your prophetic intercessor, Pastor Oshina Mandishe. I'm here to share with you my previous video that can answer the questions and people were asking in various ways why you were voting and there was no change. Instead of making new videos, I'm here with this video which I've cropped from my previous video where it can answer and respond to what people want to understand in this time and season. So I want to leave you with this video so that you can understand why certain things did not happen, why the change that was expected did not happen even if people were voting, and what is the mind of God in this particular season. God said, you must bring this message to clarify why certain things did not happen. So I'm not going to speak biased to any political party, but I'm standing to the things that God revealed to me over the past years. And now I want you to understand that there are people who are confused and who cannot discern to understand what is the will of God. This is the reason why I'm here to clarify, because God gave me a message based on that. Now, you must understand that our ruling party was given a mandate to liberate the people of Zimbabwe. But over time, sacrifice unwanted burnt offering like so. When I talk of sacrifice, I'm not only talking as a sacrifice. There's a big message there. When we talk of sacrifice, we're also talking of blood and other things, the rituals which were not right before the sight of God. And God was angry about that. So when a new part that was formed, God wanted to change. God wanted to give authority, but God also did not want a notion, a representation that was given, because it was going to give a bad legacy on Zimbabwe. So when this part was formed, God also showed us in a vision when we were praying, and the interpretation was very relevant to what was happening to this part that was formed maybe 98, 2000 thereabout. I'm talking about MDC. Let me be specific because there's nothing to hide here. As we were praying, God showed us a vision that was given of a mushroom that was black with white inside, and that vision was interpreted as a black party, a party that was with black people with interest of whites. So that is why we saw the leadership that was there was always interacting with whites. Not to say what they were standing for was wrong and the idea to bring change was wrong, but that notion was, God did not want the nation of Zimbabwe, given the background of where it was coming from and the future generation, to have the narration that this party is the part of whites, because the Saul type of people, the people who were in the camp of Saul, were projecting to say this is a part of white people. As much as they were advocating for change, God did not allow them to be on the throne based on that, as much as he wanted to change the jacket of rulership. And for those who were just worried and say, why are we voting and the election are stolen? God allowed that. God did not stop people to exercise their will. He has given people to exercise their will. So when people vote, it is their right. As people say in politics, that democratic right. In God's side, it is the free will that can be exercised. That is why you saw God did not stop Adam and Eve to exercise their will. That's why they sinned. But God prevented Adam and Eve to eat the tree of life and said, this is a no-go area. Now I'm putting a cherubim to guard, because this you cannot go because you have sinned. I allowed you to exercise your will, which you violated my principle. So God also used that. He allowed people to exercise their right and they voted. Surely there are times where votes, the elections were won, but God did not allow the leadership to ascend to the throne. because God was still shaping and building something that will present Zimbabwe on a right footing, because God loved Zimbabwe and he wanted to take Zimbabwe to a greater height without distortion of history, without distortion of narration, where future generation will be told that the people who are ruling you are in the throne represents white, and it will bring all things upside down. On the other side, there's the people who are in the camp of Saul. God has already put a line, and they are there with a borrowed time. This is what God showed me, and I even shared this long back to say God is just allowing this because he is trying to shape a leadership that is not biased to any citizen, whether black or white, that can stand for the people of Zimbabwe. This is why I believe that the message that I shared on the first video, where God was shaping a log and said, I'm going to present a leadership, and the leader who's going to take Zimbabwe forward, was shaped, was coming from where God was removing unwanted material, is now. And I'm believing it's now, because why? It is something that has no distortion, that vision that we saw of a mushroom which is black and white inside, because it's something that is representing people. Now, it is not something that is distortion of history. It is not something that is distortion of colonialism of interest, but it is something that is coming from within. It's something that God has managed to craft, is something that God has managed to remove unwanted material and brought a new thing that we are seeing in Zimbabwe. For those who are listening carefully, you will understand the group of the people that God has raised now, and the leadership that is raised now, and the new part that is there now. And this is where I'm referring. So for those who did not understand why God allowed us to vote and the elections are stolen, why God allowed people who rebellied us to continue in power, but we are still in hardship. The message and the history that was going to be written was not going to be a good history to say there are people who died for Zimbabwe, who went for the liberation struggle, who died, and there was someone who came with the interest of white people. That God did not want. So God allowed all the division and the peeling off, and also the unwanted material and everything that was happening, the confusion, the fights, so that he can eventually bring what is no distortion of history, that is no distortion of whatever interest of a certain group of people. Is something that is representing the people and the nation of Zimbabwe.